Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our Cobra Kai Season 4 premiere review. Episode 1 has come and gone. They just arrived on Netflix. So, of course, we are showing no mercy when it comes to sitting around and waiting to watch. How can we not? This is Cobra freaking Kai.
So excited. I've been counting down the sleeps until this finally premiered. It is here and it is good. We're going to talk about the first episode and we're going to have, reviews up every day. So make sure you hit that subscribe button so that you can watch along with us.
We have so much to dive into. Just first and foremost, can I just say about Terry Silver? I am really jealous of his hair. Just that guy has magnificent, like just that mane. It was just like free flowing in the wind. There's a thing called bald man envy. Whenever you see a dude with good hair, and you're like, man.
I loved the opening scene with him at the piano just playing. You see that he's got wealth. He's doing really well for himself. Kreese calls him. He's just like, nope.
Listen, Terry Silver, we can all live vicariously through that opening because I think we've all had people, and I don't know how many of us have actually done this,
Yeah.
where you have the ability to answer the phone, but then also hang up on them immediately is just so inherently satisfying.
Oh, it is so satisfying. I think we've all been in situations where somebody's calling us where we're like, nope.
No, I really like the introduction to Terry, and I think in general we know a lot of this season is going to be about him, and they sort of gave us a quick download like right away in this premiere of, okay, this is where he is. Clearly, like you said, he's gotten money. It also feels like he is not spending a lot of time dwelling on the past. He's definitely not the guy who is like, look at all of my karate achievements from another life ago. Like, these people barely even know he did it.
Yeah, they really set him up that he moved on. And he even said it where, we saw Kreese trying to get a hold of him at the beginning. He was like, nah, bro, I'm good. I've moved on. Kreese shows up at his house. He's still like, I have moved on. And they end up having this conversation where Kreese is like, listen, I need you to come back. I've started up Cobra Kai again. It's really important. Hey, maybe I'll sweeten the pot just so you know, Daniel LaRusso is part of this as well. And Terry's still like, no, like, you leaving my life was the best thing that ever happened to me. Like, since you left my life turned around. Like, I went to rehab, I got better, I had therapy, I felt better. Like, I feel better. Like, and then you're back, you're like, why? So that you can do this? No.
One of the things that I think Cobra Kai does a really, really good job at is like they put in a lot of these things for Karate Kid fans, but at the same time, they don't like dive into them so hard that if you didn't really watch the movies, you would have no idea what's going on.
No, this show does a fantastic job of people who have never actually seen any of the original Karate Kid movies to know who this is. They give just enough of snippets from the films to be like, this is who this person is. This is who this person is to Johnny, to Daniel, to whoever, to let us all in on it. And it's quick and they don't dwell on it and they keep us in the present. This show is really brilliant that way.
And it's like with, Terry's past actions, the show kind of like justifies this by being like, oh, I just had a lot of coke. And it's funny because I think one of the big criticisms of Terry way back when was like, why is this guy so aggro and like so crazy? And it's just that like little funny moment that you're like, oh, okay, yeah. Apparently the message of this show is don't do drugs. And if you do drugs, don't do that drug, apparently.
No, it was good that they had some sort of explanation in there for all of that. It was kind of funny.
Yeah, I appreciate all of that. Like, I think Terry's introduction, which I think is like one of the big takeaways from the premiere, I think it was very, very solid, though I think we can very well pose the question of, did they really do enough to justify Terry Silver wanting to be back at Cobra Kai?
Yeah, I mean, he has said, years of moving past rehab therapy. He's got this great wealth. He has this great life. He's, doing very well. He seems very happy. Has enough money to do whatever he wants, whenever he wants, sort of thing. And he was very, very firm when Kreese first showed up. I am not interested in this.
Yeah.
I don't care that Daniel is part of this. I just don't care. Then we get to the moment where it finally, like, he takes a hit at his manhood. And I was just like, what? He basically was like, all right, you stay here and you enjoy eating your tofu and you can be a cat. And I'm going to use the word cat because I'm not going to use the P word that Johnny likes to use so we don't get demonetized. So that's what's happening here. He's basically like, you're a tofu eating cat, enjoy your life. And that's the thing that ends up actually sort of sticking in his craw.
Well, number one, I like tofu. I'm just throwing that out there. So
yeah, like you're not a man if you eat tofu,
yeah.
Man. You are a cat.
Yeah. Come for me, John Kreese, over all of that. The other part of this is totally aside from the show. Like this, clearly Terry's at the beach here, right? How long of a drive in traffic is it to go to the valley to go to all this? Just for like the traffic alone, I'm not doing this. I think sometimes Cobra Kai gets a little bit convenient. As much as I love the show, I think there are some predictable moments. I think having Terry sort of more or less signal he's coming on board with one episode is kind of like okay, we get it. But clearly, there's a bunch of episodes left. They want to build up to actually get him there so that they can get the drama going.
Yeah, because I think like the real meat is going to be watching these two sides and how they're going to train and how they're going to get ready to beat the other side, because there is a lot on the line. Whichever dojo loses is leaving, and that's it. They're closing up and leaving, and we're gonna not see them again, supposedly. I mean, we even had this conversation with Daniel where he was kind of like, will Kreese really leave? Who knows? And if he doesn't, it doesn't matter anyways, because if he loses, then that's what's on his dojo.
I am Team Daniel on this all the way. This will be the hill I die on for until we get to the All Valley this season. It's like, why are we trusting John Kreese? John Kreese has no honor. John Kreese is a terrible human being. I do not believe anything that he says.
No, I mean he's not gonna leave. No. I don't think he's going to leave.
Okay, so we had a worthy introduction here to Terry Silver. We had a little bit of a chance to see him in his fabulous hair. Let's go into some other people here.
There's some real hair in me.
There's some real hair even like we're even Miguel. Miguel's even got a good hair thing going on at this point. But we're gonna get into Miguel here at the moment because we see pretty early on in this episode too the continuation of the Johnny Carmen relationship as they're having dinner while Miguel is sitting there.
It is setting up, I think, for another big sort of downfall between Miguel and Johnny. I think Johnny and Carmen are handling this not in the best way. We know that they're seeing each other. We know that at the end of last season, Johnny was ready to go over there, tell her that, he's practicing, I love you. He's ready. If you're already at that point, Miguel needs to know, this is going to come out later that they've been hooking up, that their relationship is growing, that they're, becoming more involved, and that they hid it from him. I mean, this is his mom, so that's quite a betrayal from his mom, but also, of course, from his sensei, who he already feels like, things have been really difficult for them already with everything that happened.
I think it's an interesting decision that we're seeing Carmen and Johnny make here. And by interesting, I mean mostly I understand where they're coming from, but they're not really seeing the forest through the trees here because Miguel almost died. Like, this is a kid who has gone through a lot. He's going to be able to handle the idea of his mother dating Johnny Lawrence. And yes, he and Johnny have had some issues here and there over time, but this is not like some stranger he doesn't know. Like, he does in his heart have a lot of respect for Johnny, and I think he would be okay. And plus, I think we're missing out. I think there would be some really funny scenes of Miguel trying to give Johnny, I don't know, dating advice, or telling him oh, my mom really likes this restaurant, take her here, and it blowing up in his face.
No, I agree. I think that there's a lot more comedy and fun moments that could be mined from him knowing. And I don't think that Miguel would have had any kind of problem with it anyways. He loves his mom. He loves Johnny. Like, having two of his favorite people actually be together. I mean, even if it doesn't work out, I think he would be all on board. It's kind of one of those, why are you keeping this a secret? Miguel would be fine with it.
Yeah, and so like that's something both pretty sure, I think, that they're gonna really kind of continue to build this out as the season goes along.
Yeah, I mean, we're now at a point though that, where is this relationship going? Because Miguel brought up Allie and everything that Johnny was doing with the Facebook and everything from last season, which was hilarious.
Yeah.
But we all know that Johnny decided that Allie was not for him. He wants to be with Carmen. Carmen doesn't know. But bringing all that up in front of Carmen, Carmen was like, let's pump the brakes.
I want this to work out. I want a Cobra Kai wedding. I want to see, like...
Oh, I'm not there yet.
Can we see... Is Daniel going to be Johnny's best man? Because if that happens, I will pretty much die.
Listen, we have seen Stranger Things. Spoilers if you haven't seen The Office. We have seen Stranger Things go on with, enemies becoming friends, becoming best men.
Johnny Lawrence, this is one of the first, like, Cobra Kai hot takes in the series that's not going to be a hot take at all. Johnny Lawrence is my favorite character, and it's not even close. Like, I could watch Johnny do anything, so I was all in on the Johnny Carmen stuff, and then we get into sort of the real central conflict of this premiere, which I still think is a great premise. Here you've got these two guys, Johnny and Daniel, who are totally different and have been enemies for 30 years. Now we're being like, let's team up. And they made it seem like this was just going to work out okay at the end of last season. And like now is the total reality, like door slamming in all of our faces.
Yeah. And I think it's just, they didn't sit down and really plan anything.
No.
And aside from their rivalry and everything that was going on, the biggest issue, besides the fact that they have different teaching styles, is that they are teaching karate. They have different actual styles of karate going on. It is not the same. So your teaching styles can be different, but if at least you're both teaching, Miyagi-Do, or you're both teaching Cobra Kai, at least it's the same. But because it's not, it's just turning into this mess where they end up at some point where they're like, you teach this inside, I'll teach this outside. And it's like, what is going on here? This is not going to help. Originally, I was thinking these two together with their different styles, if they're able to teach the other students the styles, then they're going to know both styles, which is what we now know is going on with the Robby stuff. And we will talk about that. And it would prepare them for both styles of karate, but they just couldn't get on the same page together. And then Daniel has like the most selfish idea ever, where he goes over to Johnny's and is like, listen, this is what we're going to do. You're going to come over and teach Miyagi-Do with me. We're going to teach all the kids Miyagi-Do, and that's how we're going to do this, which is just basically telling Johnny, listen, you don't know Miyagi-Do at all, so I'm just going to take all the students, and I'm going to teach them Miyagi-Do, and you can watch, is basically what he suggested, to which Johnny was like, have a piece of ham.
Okay, and... This is a valuable life lesson to everyone out there, is that if someone comes up to you and basically says some variation of what you said to lead off there, this is what we're going to do, it never ends well. It is never for your interest. That somebody is basically just like, yeah, I thought about what you said and I'm going to completely disregard all of it. And I like Daniel. I like watching Daniel. I think he's an interesting character, but he's also a prick. And that's okay. We all have pricks in our lives that occasionally, we like. And he's just... He's found a lot of success. He was the heralded Karate Kid. So of course he thinks that everything he does is the right way and the perfect way. He's Mr. Goody Two Shoes.
Yeah, that is the problem with him, is that he's really sort of gassing himself up all the time, that he is right, he is the good, and that's why everyone has to fall in line. And that's what's so smart about this show and so good about the show, and why I think everybody likes it so much, is that we have Johnny, who's really the person that a lot of people are rooting for, because he's you know, in the movies he's this villain and you don't get to actually
Yeah.
see the other side, and that is something that still is around a lot in movies and TV, where you don't get to see the more vulnerable side or other things that are going on in their life. Shows are starting to get a bit better about it. I mean, Daredevil did a really good job with that with Wilson Fisk, where it was like, yeah, he's this bad dude doing bad things, but then we also got to learn that he was like really lonely and really battling with how lonely and empty his life was, and that was part of what he was really tapping into, of when he's, you know, getting really like a bad
Yeah.
guy sort of thing, and it made you feel for him, and that is what this show does
Yeah.
really well.
Like, you know, there are quote unquote heroes and quote unquote villains, but we have depth to all of them. I think that makes.
Even John Kreese, we've all now gotten to know more about him and
Yeah.
sort of some of the stuff that he's gone through to get to where he is.
Yeah. We understand all of them, and I'm sure we'll probably even understand Terry a little bit more as time goes on this season as well. Like, I liked Johnny's response to Daniel and sort of saying we could just do Eagle Fang, but it's mostly just because Eagle Fang will never not be funny to me. Like, I will always laugh at the name of this dojo. I love you just named it this because of this picture line in the premiere. Like, all of it is great and stupid, and I love the great stupid humor with this show sometimes.
Okay, so we got to talk about Hawk, who is
Yeah.
a character that, for me, I wasn't sure if he was ever really going to be able to be redeemed after some of the stuff that he's done. Like, even when he came around for Dimitri later on last season, I was still like, I just can't with you. Like, you've crossed the line so far that's like, it's too little too late. However, they did a good job in the premiere of showing, you know, he's like, I'm here, I want to change, I want to be better, and that he himself realized that he's like, words are cheap, man. I gotta actually do something. Both senseis don't believe in me anymore. Of course, none of the kids that are here want anything to do with me. I have to prove myself.
They, I think, resolved, or at least, you know, this is a temporary thing, but they gave us a little bit of hope, I think, for Hawk. And Hawk has been one of my least favorite characters. And not because I don't understand him, like, because I think when you are sort of nerdy and mistreated and you get offered this alternative, I think Hawk just goes completely overboard mentally with a lot of it, because this is sort of him taking his power back and he never wants to feel hurt or mistreated ever again. And he's just clearly got like this obsessive gene about him where he's really got to do all this. But it's like, Dimitri, he is my second favorite character on this show, mostly because if I was on this show, I would probably be Dimitri and just be like, why would I want to go and do karate? And I would be like trying to stay away from it as long as humanly possible. But there's hope for a Hawk redemption. I'm not there yet, but I want to believe, because this show makes me want to believe.
I think it's really hard with Hawk because he is very influenced of sort of whoever's paying him the attention to be able to help sort of bring him up and gas him up and help him make him feel better about himself. He just flip-flops to wherever he's getting that from. So it makes me kind of nervous that he could easily just flip back to the other side or to a new side, or like he's too unpredictable for me.
Speaking of flipping back to the other side, though, and I mean, Robby was already kind of there, but still.
Kind of. Okay, so we had the whole thing with Robby. Robby staying at Cobra Kai's kind of, rudderless boat at this point. He's not really with anything. So we saw this moment where Chris was like, hey, why don't you come and practice? Why don't you, be with us sort of thing? Show him how tough you are. You're a king. And he's just like, no, I'm good. I'm not interested. I'm done. Which makes sense after all the karate and everything that happened to Miguel, and then he's going to juvie. Like, if I was him, I'd be like, I've had enough karate for my life. Like, thanks, I'm good. Then you had Tori come in and kind of be like, hey, either practice or get out. Like, you can't just sort of stick around. Like, what's wrong with you? You're just being a simp for Sam, and so pony up. And then he's like, nah, I'm good. Like, nobody's really getting him to do it. And then there's that whole scene with Sam where she shows up and she's like, I want something, and he's like, I'm ready to karate.
Listen, Robby clearly has a trigger here, and that trigger is, you hurt me, Sam. I'm going to do something to get back at you. I still think it's a little bit flimsy. That's just because it's the same thing as with Terry. Clearly, they just want us to get to a point where they can move on to sort of the next chapter that they're wanting to do. But maybe it's because I'm not an emotional teenager.
That's what I was about to say. I disagree. I think that this completely makes sense. He is a teenager. We were all teenagers. We all know that a broken heart can make us do almost anything. It's really rough when you got a broken heart like that it will motivate you to do anything. So he decides to join back up with Cobra Kai, and he's teaching them Miyagi-Do, which is extremely dangerous for the other side because they are now going to know how to defend against their style of karate. So it's really putting them together. And that was such a cool fight scene. He fought the whole dojo, and the only person that was able to land any kind of kick or hit on him is Tori.
I love that whole scene. And you know what?
So sick. It was really good.
I understand that. I understand there's always these people out there that are like, well, why are they all fighting him one at a time? Why can't they all? Because that's not fun. It's fun to watch him single-handedly go at one person after another.
Agreed.
And then like a couple of people come at him. It's just like this show does these fight sequences in a way that's so satisfying to me, where give me just like 20 minutes of it, like the school fight, the Christmas fight. Like those were so good.
That school fight is like the best scene of this whole series. It was so good.
Yeah, like I really enjoyed all that. So like now I am curious to see, is Cobra Kai going to be able to take Miyagi-Do, take Cobra Kai, and find a way to really kind of get all this stuff in and process all this information quickly? Because, some of these people in Cobra Kai, they haven't been in karate, I guess, as long, because we saw Kreese kind of recruit some of them, but...
Yeah, and they've said that there's only a couple of months before the All Valley, so it's not really that long, but, I mean, if they really put the time in, I mean, they could get prepared.
So they better start preparing themselves, because we're getting prepared for a really big season, and, we're going to want to know, of course, who do you guys think is going to win the All Valley at the end of this?
All right, here is my prediction, and we want to hear your predictions, so make sure you put them in the comments. After just this one episode, this is where I think it's going to end, because we had 2 scenes in this premiere where I was like, okay, this is where this is going. We had Amanda and Daniel talking about sort of the All Valley. Is Kreese going to actually leave? And Daniel says, well, we have LaRusso 2.0 who's going to take it for us. And Sam is sitting in the back. Then we had the only person to land a hit on Robby, Tori. I think that we're going to have a battle between those 2 women at the end of this, that those are going to be the 2 who are going to fight. I would like to see it be Tori that actually wins. I want to see more of an arc with her this season where she's just not this pissed off person all the time. This actress is a really good actress, and I think that she is capable of doing so much more than just being jealous and mad, that I think we could see a lot more, and it seems like we are going to see a lot more from her. But I actually think that Sam will end up winning, because we've already seen Cobra Kai win this.
Yeah, I am on Team Sam winning. That's where I land. I do agree with you in that I do want to see all this sort of development with Tori and everything else. I just think that we've already seen Robby and Miguel at the end of something like this. I don't think Cobra Kai is just going to want to repeat themselves as a show and give us the same exact thing all over again. And this may be the most controversial thing I say in this whole video, but is there a lot of meat left on the John Kreese bone? And like, it's just one of these sort of things where, let's say, Tori does win and Cobra Kai sticks around. It's like, what else is there with this guy? And I don't know where they would go without Kreese having this sort of villain on the show anymore, but I just feel like we need to sort of move the show forward. And I think having Sam win and seeing what the aftermath of that is, give the good guys a victory. I think that's compelling for now, but I know we have a season 5, so I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, if I had to guess, I don't think they're going to get rid of Kreese. I think it's going to end up being a situation where we go into the next season where, of course, all the kids are still going to be around. Everyone's still going to be practicing karate. But I do think we're going to start getting into more of like a battle between the adults.
Yeah, and that in itself
So
could
we
be
can't
fun.
lose Kreese.
Okay, Kreese, listen. Small, I think Kreese is a great villain. I also think great villains sometimes need to be in smaller doses, and the longer you keep them, the less of potency
Disagree.
they tend to have. So that's where I am.
Cobra Kai never died.
Okay, all right. Well, let us know what you guys thought about the premiere. Who do you want to see win the All Valley? Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button as well. Like Jess said early on, we are going to be here every day breaking down the show, all of season 4. We hope to see you here next time.